And the United Nations is calling on Iran to release thousands of people detained for peaceful protests. Director of Strategic Litigation Project at the Atlantic Council and human rights lawyer Gisu Nia joins me live now for more on this. Gisu, thank you for being here. Human rights groups say at least 21 people are facing charges punishable by death in Iran. But the Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights says the country can only issue the death penalty for the most serious crimes under international law. So how's this happening?
Yeah, so the Islamic Republic of Iran has been the leading global executioner per capita for years, for about 13 years now, with some brief breaks. And so what they do is that the death penalty is not issued in line with the provisions under international law and the obligations that the Islamic Republic of Iran is bound to. So one can get the death penalty for quote unquote widespread moral corruption and offenses that can include crimes like adultery. Same-sex relations can be punished with the death penalty in Iran. So the way that the Islamic Republic metes out the death sentence is not in accordance with international standards.
Yeah, Gisu, I want to talk about this video showing Iranian security forces opening fire in a Tehran metro station. Maggie Ruli's talking about how this wasn't your typical ammunition here. So what more can you tell us about this?
Well, what we know is that the state security forces often deal with very heavy-handed ways of crowd control. And so back in November 2019, when there was widespread protests across the country, the state security forces killed hundreds, if not thousands, of protesters within the span of a few days, really. So what we've seen in the current spate of protests is that there has been, I think because women and girls were at the forefront of a lot of these protests, and girls as young as 12 taking off their mandatory hijab and all that and protesting. I think some of the violence that we've seen in November 2019 has not necessarily been repeated at scale in such a short space of time based on that example. What we're now seeing, though, is that the authorities are getting increasingly frustrated with their inability to stop what we're now going into the third month of protests. They see that they now have an inability to stop it. And so I think, unfortunately, we're going to be seeing a lot more heavy-handed tools and tactics to try to control this, as well as issuance of death sentences to protesters that are currently in custody.
Now, Germany and Iceland are leading a push to create a special fact-finding mission to investigate alleged rights violations linked to the initial protests. So what happens if they do find violations?
So this has been a push from civil society organizations and UN experts for a long time now. There was first a call to establish an investigative mechanism after the violence in November 2019. Those calls have finally been heeded because we see repetition of these events. What we're hoping is that with the establishment of a fact-finding mission, a commission of inquiry, or an investigative mechanism, that these violations would be documented and that there would be a way to robustly seek accountability for these harms that have occurred. Because often we face a lack of evidence that would be able to sustain a criminal indictment. And so we strongly want the outcome of the special session next Thursday to be that sort of accountability mechanism. We also hope that it would have some deterrent effect. Back in November 2019, nothing was done to properly document what was happening, and now we see a repetition of that sort of violence. And so we're hoping that this would send a message that that's not acceptable.
All right, Gisu Nia, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.